Hey guys, and welcome back to the Wingspan Podcast, Episode 3. I'm Chris Mulholland of Nets Daily, joined by my co-host Doug Barrick and our special guest. Our guest is one of the most well-known hoopers from Queens, New York. He was the 1990 ACC Rookie of the Year, the former second overall pick in the 1991 NBA Draft, a 1994 NBA All-Star, and played 14 seasons in the NBA, splitting time with 9 teams and played his final professional basketball season overseas in Lithuania.
Welcome to the Wingspan Podcast, Kenny, a.k.a. Mr. Chibbs. Thank you for your time out of your night to join Chris and I. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me on.
We definitely appreciate it, brother.
No problem. We appreciate it.
So, Kenny, can you talk about the basketball culture growing up in Queens and in the city when you were growing up?
Well, the basketball culture was great, but I stayed in Queens, Left Rack City, the projects over there. It was great, and that's where I got my love for the game. My sister, when I was 6, about 9 years old, that's when I moved to Left Rack. When I was like 6, 7 years old, I was in Jamaica, Queens, and she used to take me to ISA Park all the time, and just to watch me. And I used to throw the ball up at the basket, and then I just got used to just being around the game of basketball. I was around IS8 over there, Jamaica, Queens, and then we moved. We moved to Left Rack City, Queens, and that's where it all began for me. Just the name and everything, playing in the back in the park of Left Rack City. That's where I got my name at, and it was special. It was good.
Definitely great to hear, man. So, when did you begin watching the NBA? Like, what was some of your first memories of the NBA? Favorite team? And was the NBA always a dream focus of yours?
Nah, not really. I really didn't watch it. I watched it. I really just was on my own, just in the park, in the playgrounds, playing till 11, 12 midnight. My mother had to come get me off the court in Left Rack City. I really didn't watch the NBA. And I remember the Knicks, when they had Bill Cartwright and Marvin Webster and all those guys, and they had blackouts. The game used to black out on TV, and that's it. And then I started watching the NBA when they had the Celtics. That was one of my teams I really liked because of Tiny Archibald. Archibald was a Celtic, and he did great. He got a championship with the Celtics. And that's when I got into Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, all those guys, Robert Parrish. It was just great.
Yeah, that's great. And then is there any one player, like growing up, you kind of just modeled your game around?
If I had to say model my game, I was like, I would say who I looked up to was Kenny Smith, because Vincent Smith was my mentor. Vincent Smith is a brother of Kenny Smith, and we lived in Left Rack together. And we used to, we went to Malloy. I went to Malloy. He went to Malloy first, and then I went to Malloy. He went to North Carolina. Everybody thought I was going to go to North Carolina, but I chose to go to Georgia Tech for me. And that's what happened there. But it was great. It was great.
Yeah, that's great. That's good to hear. And then obviously, before we dive in a little bit to the kind of your decision to take your talents to the basketball stage, obviously when you're growing up, you started being recruited back when you were in 6th grade. So can you just talk a little about like what it was like back then being a 6th grader and seeing like some guys like recruit you and like try, and was that kind of like the first realization when you started to realize like, hey, I can make a career out of this, or hey, like I'm starting to get noticed or anything?
I really didn't look at it like that. Vincent Smith, my mentor, he just said, hey, just play. And when I got to high school, as a freshman, a 9th grader, I played at Malloy High School under the legendary coach Jack Curran, who passed away. That I really, my going into the 9th grade, he said, "Hey man, you're special. You could get a scholarship. Let's just work at it." And that's what I did. I really didn't know all of everything. I just played the game of basketball because of the love for it, and then it all came to me. But I really just didn't know. I just played it for the love, And Malloy, it means a lot. It means everything to me. Malloy High School, Archbishop Malloy, where I went to high school at. And I just went 9th to 12th. I played on the varsity team. I was one of the, me and Kareem, were one of the first varsity players for 4 years. It was very special to me, Malloy. Very, very special.
Oh, wow. And then, so like we said before, obviously being from New York, kind of coming out of high school, like you were just talking about, just being recruited and kind of just all exactly kind of what you just mentioned. There was obviously a lot of college offers coming your way. Some of those offers include Duke, UNC, Syracuse, just a lot of prestigious basketball programs. But you chose Georgia Tech. And can you just talk a little bit about kind of what kind of played factors into deciding to go to Georgia Tech and kind of just going there overall?
When I chose to go to school, college, I just wanted to be over with. So I didn't want to play around. So I visit Syracuse, and I love Syracuse. Pearl Washington was one of my idols growing up. Pearl Washington was point guard from Brooklyn, New York. He was great. I looked at him, but then I looked at Georgia Tech, and Coach Crimmins was from the Bronx, and it just was a great fit for me. Went down to Atlanta. I went visit Atlanta with my mother, and it just was great. And we decided to go to Georgia Tech. But I was real close to going to Syracuse. North Carolina, I just didn't feel, good there, going there. Duke, when I had decided to, go to Georgia Tech, they had got Bob Hurley, and he called me and he thanked me for being interested in his program, Coach K. So, he was very well respected. He did everything correct. But me, I just wanted to go, far from New York. That's just was one of my things. And Georgia Tech fit me. It was just a great fit, and I loved it.
Yeah, and then can you just talk a little bit about like kind of your favorite memories during your time at Georgia Tech? Either on the court, off the court, whatever direction you kind of want to take it.
It was everything. School was great there. Definitely going to my Final Four. As a freshman, I had stated it. Going in there, we was going to go to the Final Four, and we went. You know what I'm saying? So, playing with Dennis Scott, Brian Aller, Lethal Weapon 3 was great. Then I played with Malcolm Mackey from Chattanooga. He was great. Johnny McNeil, Carl Brown, my whole team, Brian DeMalik, my whole team at Georgia Tech we are all still good friends, and we still talk, and it just was a good experience, going to Georgia Tech. I love it, and that's basically, I just love it. I was there my second year. I played with John Barry and Matt Gagger. And we had a good team, but we just didn't. We went to the Elite 16, and we lost to Jimmy Jackson and Ohio State in the Elite 16. You know what I'm saying? So it was just great. My time at Georgia Tech.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And then obviously following your time at Georgia Tech, you decide, you know what, I'm going to go to the NBA and declare for the draft. So, and obviously since then, well, right after when you started declaring, you were obviously considered one of the top prospects in that draft class. So can you just talk a little bit about kind of that transition going from like a college ball star to the NBA in your own words?
Yeah, it was kind of, it's a business, the NBA, when I left Georgia Tech, I really didn't want to leave. I wanted to leave my junior year, but I was going 1, 2, or 3, so I had to leave. And I went to the New Jersey Nets, and I sat out, I think 1 month of the season. I don't even remember. But Bill Fitch was a great coach, great. He'd been around for many years, and he was just one of them coaches that I had to get used to. And never got the chance to get used to him. I mean, they fired him. My second year, they brought in Chuck Daly, and he let me play, let me do my thing. And that's what happened. Did my thing, and I went on to make the All-Star team. But I love playing with New Jersey. New Jersey Nets was a fond memory. It was great memories there. That was my first NBA team that I played for. How could you forget it? You can't. So, all I say is, God bless them. You know what I mean? They made me the number one pick in the NBA draft. So it was awesome.
That's great. That's really good. That's very good. That's a great story right there. And then obviously on draft night, in today's NBA, a lot of guys before they get drafted, they get calls from the team like, "Hey, we're selecting you with this certain pick." Did you get any of those type of things on draft night, or was it kind of a surprise you got selected second overall, or did did you get contacted beforehand?
Yeah, the New Jersey Nets was a real surprise for me because I had visited Sacramento and they was going to pick me number 3. Jerry Reynolds, the general manager at the time, he was at Sacramento and he was going to pick me. He already stated it. I went to visit there, so I was good. I thought I was going 2 or 3. I was going 2 or 3, and Sacramento had the 3rd pick. And that's just what it was. And then when my name was called for the Nets, I was thrilled because it was right next to New York. It's right over the bridge. So it was awesome.
That.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, I see that. That's good. And then obviously you talked a little about your time with the New Jersey Nets and stuff. And in those 14 years total in the league, you played with many teams. So aside from the Nets, kind of what were some of your favorite years in the league that kind of stuck out with you?
It's only the 3 teams that I played for: the Nets, the Celtics, and the Trailblazers. Portland Trailblazers. Those I got about 11, 12, 11, 10, 11 years with those 3 teams, and then the rest was like Indiana Pacers for a year, Atlanta Hawks for a year, the Clippers for a year. But those 3 teams, the Nets, the Celtics, and Portland Trailblazers, was when I was really, into it. I was into it for like 11 years into the league, into those teams. And it was great. I ain't nothing negative about it. I played well, and then that was it. That was it, and it just was great. Great experience playing with the Nets. Great experience playing with Celtics. I went all the way to the championship. When we played, you see, it was funny. We played the Nets in the finals with Jason Kidd. I was with the Celtics. He's with the Nets, and we lost, and the Nets won it. And the game that everybody remember when we came back from 20-something points down, and we won game 1 in the Celtics building. It was just a great feeling. And then they came back and they won the series. But that was when I was with the Celtics.
That's a crazy memory, man.
Yeah, that's just a great feeling and everything. And with the Celtics, Portland was great. I was like the highest paid, point guard after Gary Payton with Portland Trailblazers. I just thought I was going to stay there for many years, but they had got rid of PJ Carlesimo, and they hired Dunleavy, and I don't think I was in his plans, but I did first year there. We played against the Lakers in the playoffs with Shaq. Kobe was his first year there, and we lost, but it was just a great. My whole NBA career was great. I really can't really say nothing negative about it. It was just
awesome, Kenny.
Yeah, I played 14 years, and it was awesome.
So something I gotta ask you, throwing it back a little bit, like what was it like to play with DC and Drazen, some of those other guys? Like I know it's really like beyond sucking with it's heartbreaking with Drazen news.
Yeah, it was heartbreaking, but I got the chance to play with one of the greats, Drazen Petrovic and Derek Coleman to start my career off. It was just awesome. When we made the All-Star team, myself and Derek Coleman made the All-Star team, it was just great, man. It was a great feeling for New Jersey that they had 2 guys that made the All-Star team. And we had a great team. We played a great time in the lead with Cleveland, with Mark Price, Brad Daugherty, Knicks with Ewing and Oakley, and it was just great, man. I ain't really not much to say. It was great basketball at that time.
No, of course. So can you take us back to that All-Star game? Like, what do you remember about All-Star weekend? Like, what were some of your favorite highlights? Like,
The
on the
highlights.
court, off the court? Like, what stood out to you, brother?
I really don't remember too much about on the court, but I know Scottie Pippen won the MVP that game, and I did go to the Prince house. It was in Minnesota. He had a big party at his house. It was just great, man. I won't get into all of that, but it was
No
great.
worries, brother. We'll just think you crossed everyone up. Like,
That's all.
Yeah, then Kenny, I gotta ask you. Obviously, like a lot of current players actually today, you decide to take your talents overseas for your last professional basketball season, Lithuania, to end your career.
Mhm.
And obviously, today you see a lot of guys even before college, like LaMelo Ball, R.J. Hampton, Brandon Jennings, taking that step even before they even hit the NBA. Can you just talk a little bit about kind of that experience? Was it very different basketball over there? And kind of just everything along those lines.
Well, me personally, I didn't really like it, but my mother had passed away, and Drazen Petrovic, the big I went overseas and played. What was his name? He played with me in Portland. He owned the team.
Sabonis?
Sabonis, excuse me. Yeah. Sabonis owned the team, and my mother had passed away, so it all worked out. So I went over there for about 5 months, played and saw different, just got it all in, man. It was great. It really was, and that's why I went over there, because that was a real trying time for me. My mother had passed away. I went out of the country, and it was great. It was really great. But I don't know if I was young, I would have went over there and played. I couldn't have done it then, But I was older. I was finished playing, I thought. I was finished, period. When my mother passed away, then it was over, for me, basketball-wise. She saw me play. And it was great. She saw me play, and that was that. And I went overseas, played Lithuania. They showed me love. It was great. But, it was time for me to give it up,
Yeah, I feel that. And then obviously I got to follow up with Sabonis. Obviously, in his early career, I would say his prime years kind of got cut because obviously with politics and the Soviet Union and everything, he couldn't come over right away. But just overall, obviously Sabonis is such an iconic figure when it comes to the globalization of just basketball as a sport. And can you just talk a little about like what you kind of saw in Sabonis just as a player?
Sabonis, one of the best, probably the best big man passer that ever lived. I never saw a guy that big and that skilled, far as making passes, from the post to high post. And he could score, he could shoot the three. He could just do it all. He was just a great player. He just was a great player. Now him and Drazen Petrovic was one too. Those two guys back in the days was just great European players who came over to the league and really showed what he could capable of doing.
And then what do you think about his son right now? Obviously, the little Sabonis.
Yeah, he's doing great. He's doing great. He did well. He did well at the college. What the college he was at? Then I watched him in the pros, and he's just great. He's great. He reminds me of his father a little bit, just a little bit.
I think he went to Gonzaga, if I'm not mistaken.
Gonzaga. Yep, I watched Gonzaga play a lot. Watched him, and he performed very well.
Yeah, and then another follow up on that is kind of obviously nowadays. That's the main motivation behind me writing that book that we talked a little bit off air. Was obviously the European players and players all over the world coming to the NBA today. Mm-hmm. And so what do you think about kind of that transition? Obviously, when you were playing, there wasn't so many Europeans, even a lot of players from overseas that came into the NBA. There was a couple, but there wasn't a lot that were kind of superstar names or anything like that. But today you see Giannis, you see all these type of guys. So kind of what's your thoughts on kind of that whole kind of movement?
Oh no, it's great. The league is about money. money venture, and that's great. If you could get so much talent from all over the world, so be it. That's great. And but it's taking a lot out of from guys over here. You got to be on top of your game over here, and that's where you're losing out. That's where a lot of guys are losing, not getting careers in the NBA because they're going overseas to get some of the great players. And hey, and that's what it's about. It's a business, and that's what I see. And it's a business. You just got to be careful. You got to work hard and enjoy yourself. But some of those guys are they don't have much over there, so they work extremely hard to be the best they could be, on the court.
This podcast episode is brought to you by Anchor. Anchor is an app that allows podcast producers to record and create original content. It is free to record and create a podcast, giving producers the ability to easily edit their material off their phone or computer. Anchor allows producers and talent to make money off their work with no minimum listenership. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you on platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and many more. To get started, Anchor app or go to anchor.fm. Anchor for Doug and I has been great and allows us to bring unique, creative, and opinionated content to listeners of the Wingspan Podcast. Yeah, and then obviously, kind of like what obviously you just talked about a little bit of the NBA being a business and everything like that. When was kind of the moment in your career that you kind of realized that the NBA was a business?
Well, when I went right into it, the trade, and I had to, I done the trades when I got traded from Portland to the Raptors. I waited and I waited it out and went to the Celtics. I probably, I pretty much knew it was a business ever since I got into it. Every time since rookie year I knew. But you just gotta live it, learn it, and once you learn it, you understand it. You know what I'm saying? And that's what happened to me.
Kenny, I want to ask you, how's life after basketball? What's it like? What's the goods?
What's the good? I'm coaching now at Fish University down in Nashville, which is great. NAIA school. And I'm just trying to build this program up, Fish University, and that's what I'm doing right now. It's going well for me. Most people don't realize I had a stroke about 9-10 months ago. The stroke was crazy, but I lived it,
here, brother. We're glad you're here, man.
Yeah, I lived it.
Yeah, that's great to hear.
Yeah, I lived it, and you just gotta, hey, it is what it is. I don't want to get into it over here on the phone. I don't even want to talk about it no more. I'm just dealing with it right now.
Fine. Completely fine.
Yeah, I'm just dealing with it. Right now it's 10 months ago. I got the stroke, and I'm cleared up. I've been taking medicine, and I'm doing well. And the only thing that affected me is my memory. The only thing, and that's what I'm doing. I'm going every Thursday to Vanderbilt. It's right over here in Nashville. Vanderbilt has been helping me a great deal. Florida, my people over there is helping me. They help me very much so. And what more can I say, man? I just thank God.
Well, we appreciate you sharing that, man. We're really glad that you're doing so much better.
Yeah, thank you.
So before we get to the final bits about the current NBA and kind of things we talked about off air, I just want to say, what's your message to the current players now and the next generation? Like, knowing from everything you know, what kind of things you want to give them?
I would say, work hard. Work hard. I don't really know offhand, but I would say work extremely hard. Know what you want on and off the court. If you're gonna be a basketball player, really, take some pride in what you're doing. And first, I would like to say you got to take care of your body. What goes in and what goes out of your body. You really should take that real seriously, because I had a stroke, and you could really not hurt yourself, but you could kill yourself and put you out. So really, you got to watch what you eat, what you put in your body, and everything. That's the first thing I would say, and then the second, just do what's best for you in your interest. If that's going to school, playing ball, getting a good education, do that. Do all of those things because you can't play basketball forever. You can't. You can only play. I played for 14 years, and I was blessed. But some guys play for 4, 5, 6 years, 3 years, and you never know what can happen. So and that's what I tell all my kids that I coach now is just beware of your surroundings and just go for it.
Yeah, I know that before we touch your documentary later on, but I know you always said that basketball is easy, life is hard.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we really feel that we really emanates what you just talked about. So it's a great quote, man.
Yeah, thank you. And that, my documentary, basketball was always been easy for me. Always. It's the other things about life that you really can critique yourself about and get on yourself about. And I just thank God that it has made me realize, what's more important, in my life, and I could overcome anything with the strength of God, G-O-D.
Yeah,
So I was blessed with that.
Yeah, completely. Yeah. Well, hey, me and Doug are both glad that you're in a suitable situation right now and you're doing good. But then to just kind of just transition back to the college game, obviously recent news has been about NCAA athletes and whether they should be paid or not. Obviously, you played in college. So I just wanted to kind of just get just a little bit of thoughts on kind of what was your reaction when you finally heard that, hey, the NCAA athletes are kind of making some profit off their name and all the money that they bring into the universities and colleges that they play for.
Yeah, I got to be aware of this, which is great. The athletes are getting paid, but you athletes, I think for many years now should be getting paid. Like all the athletes, the football, basketball, baseball, they should find a way, to pay them. If they in school. And I'm not sure how you go about doing it. So I'm listening and looking and reading, through all the process, that they're going through. But they should, but there's ways you could do it. And I'm not sure of that way.
Exactly. Yeah. Because obviously it's a little it's iffy as of now. No one, like you just said, no one knows the exact ways how it's going to get done. What's the process going to be like and everything. But obviously now we're going to kind of just touch a little bit on the NBA today. We kind of just want to get your thoughts on what's going on in the league. Obviously, kind of just your thoughts on the whole thing. And obviously, I just want to start off with load management. Obviously, you played 82 games, all 82 games for 3 seasons in your 14-year career. And obviously nowadays in the NBA, you see a lot of stars that sit out a certain amount of time, whether it's any type of injury that they're rehabbing or that it's a little soreness here and there. So I just kind of just want to get your feedback and opinion on kind of the whole ongoing debate and topic of load management in the league today.
I really don't really know. I was, on Twitter, I was looking at it, and somebody came to me and said, this guy's sitting out, this guy's sitting out. I'm like, wow. Back in the days, we wasn't able to sit out, so I'm just just trying to get a whole bearing of what's going on, but I know what's going on. It's a lot more money now. And you got to save some of those guys' bodies and the way they play and things of that nature. But I really don't, I really don't know. It's just new to me. So I'm like, wow, you're sitting out of games, and then they trying to cut. I heard they trying to cut 82 games out where they're not even playing 82. I'm like, whoa. So it's just all me. It's just they're making a lot of money, and they're not playing. All the games. I don't know, man. It's just crazy, It's just crazy. I can't get it. I gotta sit down and absorb it and really get the whole realm of what's really going on here with the NBA. I know it's a money grabber, but we want to see a lot of kids want to see their best players or who they root for, and they can't do it. And they can't do it sometimes because they going to certain teams, certain cities, and the guys are sitting out, not coming to the games and all that. So it's kind of strange. I'm not sure. I got to really see what's going on. But now that I love the college game. I'm coaching it. I really, really haven't been too much on the pro game. So I have to before I start talking, I have to understand what's going on, about it, and I really don't. So I don't like to make a notion. I really don't know what's going on. You know what I'm saying?
We respect that for
sure. Yeah, exactly. I feel that. That.
So I really don't. I just know guys are not playing a lot. They picking games and all that. So I'm like, wow, that's it. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, exactly. And then obviously, like recently an MJ quote came out, Jordan's quote, and then that Steve Clifford told Stephen Bondy in the New York Daily News that, hey, when he was with the Hornets, he told the guys, hey, like I expect these guys to play all 82, or at least try to play all 82 if I'm paying these big bucks.
Yeah.
So exactly, that kind of just knocks on the point of that.
Yeah, that's the main thing. That's what I'm saying. If you're paying those big bucks, why not play 82 games? That's how I see it. I don't know, but that's how I see it.
Exactly. And then obviously no one really knows kind of a solution to the load management. Obviously the talk's been heating up since Kawhi was with the Spurs and everything. But from your experience, obviously, was it hard to play back-to-back games and kind of play full weeks with like 4 to 5 games in a week or anything like that for you?
No. You love playing basketball. Back then, you younger, you could play it. I didn't really look at it that way. Yeah, unless you was doing too much. You going out, you partying, you doing all this. You can't. You got to back-to-back. You got to get your rest. If you're gonna play a lot of minutes, back then it was fun. You knew you was gonna play. You knew you was gonna travel. It was fun. Ain't nothing too much about it.
Obviously, into kind of specific teams, your former squad, the Nets. Obviously, you see what they've done this offseason. Obviously, they landed 2 big fish in KD and Kyrie, and it's been an ongoing kind of progression for that squad, obviously from 20 wins, 40 wins, 42 wins, and obviously back into this season. Can you just talk a little about kind of your former team, kind of what you've seen out of them, and kind of like just overall thoughts on like what Brooklyn's doing, what they got going on over there?
I think they got something special going on with Kyrie and the big guy they just signed.
Jordan?
No, the Nets. Kyrie and
KD.
KD. So I think they're gonna go somewhere. But I heard, I see, Kyrie has been putting up some big numbers, and I think for them to be successful, he's gonna have to lower the numbers and get more guys involved. To lower the numbers and get everybody involved, and they can win. But I'm not sure. He's playing without KD this year, so he's got to put those numbers up. He could do whatever.
A lot of new guys.
Yeah, he could do whatever. He's really special. He really could play basketball. And he could do whatever. He could score. He could assist, and he has a championship. So he knows. He knows what winning does for a team. So I think they're going in the right direction. I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, and then obviously I got to ask you too. You just talked about KD, obviously, but obviously he's a high-profile player, and obviously a lot of guys, NBA fans want to see him on the court, but obviously he went down with a devastating knee injury. Achilles injury. But can you just talk a little bit about kind of what advice would you give KD, obviously coming back from Achilles injury, 30 years old. Obviously you see what Achilles injuries do to a lot of guys over 30. Dominique Wilkins and Elgin Baylor in the past. But if you could talk to KD, what would be the advice that you could give him?
Well, those injuries, that Achilles injuries usually end people's career. And he's still, working to come back. I just be careful. He got his championship rings, but, he wants to play. He's a great player. And you just be careful, basically. You know what I'm saying? And he's going to be, when he finishes, he's one of the top players. He'd be Hall of Famer and all that, but just be careful because that injury that he occurred could affect the way he's playing. Period. We have to see that. The Nets gonna have to see can he play the way he's capable of playing. coming
Do
back
you
from that
expect to
injury.
see him come back this season, or you think he's going to wait?
I think he should wait. You know what I'm saying? But who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? You know what
Now,
I'm saying? Who knows?
yeah. So before we talk about the Knicks, just one last thing on the Nets. Where do you see them at the end of the season? Do you see them making the playoffs still? And if so, where do you think, doesn't have to be right, but where in the playoffs if they make it? Because I know, of course, a
Yeah,
rocky start, but things can change. Where do you see them
yeah.
right now?
Maybe seventh, eighth spot. Yeah,
Okay.
I
All
think
right.
maybe seventh, eighth. I still see them with that star with Kyrie there. I think they can make it. I think they can make the playoffs.
Of course.
But you never know. But in the
Yeah.
East, you never know with Philly, Toronto, Boston. After that, it's wide open. I don't really, know.
Of course, man. I mean, of course, as you may have seen, we've had some early injuries and a lot of new guys, so it's tough. But
Yeah.
anyways, we'll touch upon the Knicks. So first off, I know you play them quite a few times throughout your time in the league. Like, how would you want to compare and contrast them back then and them now? And what do you think they should do going forward? Because of course, there's been a similar trend of sell the team, players come and going.
Yeah.
Not a real culture per se, like anymore. That kind of stuff.
They got I think he's a very good coach, but
I agree.
his hands is tied. I think a little bit over there with the general manager and just everything. They got the young guy, the young stud from Duke. He could play extremely well, but then he got
Barrett,
and then they got some guys that could play in the league. What are you playing for? You know what I'm saying? So I really don't know the Knicks. I haven't really paid attention so much to them. Like I said, I
you're
haven't
probably
really.
not the only one.
Yeah, I haven't paid. I haven't paid so much attention to them, so I don't really know. But the Knicks was once a great organization, but now I'm not sure. Nobody wants to come and play for them. It's kind of eerie. Me being a New Yorker, it's kind of eerie. You know what I'm saying? Like, wow, why nobody want to come play for them? And I say a lot of it has to do with the owner. I don't know if they're gonna get it together. But hopefully they will, because I give love, to my city. New York. The longest
Same here, man.
New York and New Jersey. That's my squad. You know what I'm saying? I played for the Nets, and I'm from New York, so I know I got everybody in my family a Knicks fan. Everybody a Knicks fan. I never played for them, but everybody, and they want the Knicks to do well. So I really, I don't know what to say about them, but right now it's a struggle.
Yeah, I completely agree on that. And obviously, just like you were touching before, players obviously there's been track history. They just don't target that as a destination if they're free agents or even if they want to be traded there. And obviously, my phone's blowing up right now. I don't got the game going on, but Porzingis is getting booed pretty heavy right now in MSG in his return. Kind of, how'd you think about that whole situation with Porzingis when you start kind of to see it, and kind of what was your kind of overall opinion on that? Obviously, you just touched on how your whole family's been Knicks fans, and they still are like big Knicks fans. And obviously, to see a guy that they drafted and just kind of just say, "Hey, I want out."
Yeah, I think he's sort of writing on a wall what the future looked like, and I think he got out of there. I don't really know too much of it, but now they're booing him. That's what they said when he comes back and played from Dallas. He plays with the Dallas Mavericks now. I really couldn't tell you. I just was like, whoa, when he decided that he wanted out, that he wanted out, and I really don't know too much about it, so I really can't say.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course,
I feel
man. So have there been any teams that caught your eyes thus far this season, like that have really like brought you back into like watching constantly, like make you a junkie again on basketball?
Nah, not really. The teams they talk about, the Clippers, with the young guy from the Spurs. Now you get
Kawhi,
Kawhi
the
Leonard,
Terminator.
and then they got the guy from Indiana,
PG, yeah.
PG. So they got them favored to win it. But I still, what's surprisingly, I still like in the East. The Philadelphia 76ers is loaded. Boston, I'm a Boston fan. I'm gonna go Boston. Boston with Kemba Walker, he's doing great, and they're still young. They still vibrant. They still got it going on. Toronto, they're playing well. You never know. You never know who's going to win it all, and that's what I like. The parity of the NBA is blowing up. Now I think all the teams look good. And you really, really don't know who's going to win it all, and that's a plus.
Yeah, I totally agree on that. Obviously, the past couple of years in the NBA is always okay. Warriors are going to win it again.
Yeah.
Warriors are going to do this. It's always been like that the past couple of years. Now we got 5 to 7 teams that are real contenders in this league.
And that's
you touch. Yeah. Oh, continue.
Yeah, that's what it should be about. That's basketball, and that's why everybody I think is getting into this NBA season this year.
Exactly, and then I gotta touch a little bit on obviously you talked about Boston. Obviously they got a new point guard over there. They got Kemba. I just think Kemba fits that Boston system a little more well. And but how did you think about kind of Boston over the past couple of years? Obviously you saw Kyrie.
Yeah.
Obviously what he did over there and leaving, and now we got Kemba at the throne. So kind of can you just talk a little bit about that if you want to?
Yeah, he's great. I think he's gonna be. He's awesome. Both of those guys are probably better than me, Kyrie and Kimber. They did a great job. But I think the other pieces that the Celtics got are very good, and they're gonna be, with the coach over there, how he's running things, they're gonna be very good for years to come. If they don't win it this year, they might win it next year. They'll be very close every year. And I really like that. I'm gonna go to a game this year and cheer Boston on. I'm gonna go to a Nets game and cheer
Hope so, man. Hit us up.
Kyrie and them on. I'm going Boston, Brooklyn Nets, and Boston Celtics. That's how I give my love to. And I'll get out there. I'll get out there to surprise the Trailblazers. I'll get out way out west one day. I'll get out there to check them out.
Yeah, go see Dame Dollar, see what he can do. And see
he doing his thing.
Get on the rap album, brother.
Yeah.
No diss tracks, though.
Yeah, but then, Kenny, I got to ask you, too, is obviously with Philadelphia, you got Ben Simmons at the point guard position. Obviously, you could relate to a little bit as with your position at the point and your experience behind it. Obviously, Simmons has been knocked for not having a jump shot. And obviously, he got his money. And I think he's a great player for years to come. If he could establish that jump shot, I think he's going to be easily kind of unguardable, really. And obviously, in my opinion, that's kind of one of those things that, when you grow up, obviously when you're bigger than most of your classmates and everything, you don't really need to shoot the ball. You can just drive and kind of just use your force and get to the basket. And kind of what do you think about kind of Simmons' play? Obviously, he's been knocked for his jump shooting, especially his 3-point shooting and stuff like that. But kind of what's your expectations for Simmons kind of moving forward?
Yeah, he's awesome. He's an awesome player, but he got to get his jump shot, clicking. He will. I would think he's working on every aspect of his game, but he's awesome. He got to work on the jump shooting. But other than that, he's 6'8", 6'10". You can't really stop him from getting to the basket. But in the playoffs, they do that. So it's been difficult, for him in the playoffs. But I think he'll turn it around and get it together.
Yeah, I agree with that. And obviously, another player that's been kind of getting knocked, especially from last year, obviously he had some injury troubles. Obviously, LeBron. He didn't have the best of year last year, and obviously all the guys start coming out saying, "Oh, here comes the collapse of LeBron. Here it comes, Father Time's catching up to him." And he's been my pick from the very beginning. I think he's going to win MVP. I think he's got something to prove. He's been obviously on Instagram and social media. He's been hashtagging the Washed King to kind of just knock back on those haters and kind of just talk about kind of what he's got going on. So kind of just in your own views, obviously with LeBron, obviously he's ran the league for so long, and obviously he's got that. Not only has been doing stuff great on the court, he's been doing stuff great off the court. So can you just talk a little about kind of LeBron and your own views?
My own views, he's great. He's a great player, but not only a great player, a great ambassador of NBA. You know, he does it all. He does it right, and that's what we need more of. Guys just doing the right thing. You know, and what more could you say? You know, about him and the way he carries himself, the way he plays the game. And it's not, I don't know. It's just amazing that we have a young man that's doing what he's doing at this stage of the game. It's amazing. And
Yeah, he's such an inspirational guy, like on and off the court. Like
yeah,
some of the things like Taco Tuesday, he's
yeah,
got his school,
yeah,
he's got in with Blaze Pizza. But
yeah.
what about Space Jam 2? Will you see that when it comes out?
I don't know. I probably will. I don't go to the movies much as possible. I don't go to the movies as much like I used to. But who knows? I'll see it on TV. I might watch it. I'm not sure. But with him in it, I might see it. I saw it with Michael Jordan and Charles Ball, all those guys. I might see this one. I gotta go see it.
He's a great actor.
Yeah.
He's got it all set, man. He's so well rounded.
Yep.
Exactly.
I'll definitely go check him out.
Yeah, and then obviously just kind of just top off the final question is obviously you don't, like you said before, you don't really monitor the NBA consistently, or you don't watch it too often.
Mm-hmm.
But kind of who do you like? You talked a little. You're very high on Boston. Obviously, I like what they got going on there. I feel like they're trying to figure. They got still some stuff to figure out, but obviously with Tatum and Brown and obviously Kemba at the point and what they got going on. But if you had to pick right now and kind of put money down or logically think, who's coming out of the East and who's coming out of the West and who's winning it all?
Wow. Oh man.
Pressure's on.
I don't know who coming. I'm gonna go with Boston coming out of the East just because I'm a Boston fan, and then they could do it. They could come out of the East. You know what I mean? The West. Ooh, the Clippers. I think I would just go with everybody. The Clippers coming out, and I would go with the Clippers winning it this year. I would just go with the Clippers winning it this year.
What a do, baby, right?
Yeah, I would do that. I would just do that.
Well, that's perfect. Well, Kenny, we thank you a lot for coming on. But okay, guys, before we sign off, make sure to check out the Mr. Chibbs documentary highlighting the life of Kenny Anderson after basketball. It's a great documentary, and there'll be a link in the description to the documentary. Thanks again for joining us, Kenny. We really appreciate it, taking time out of your Thursday night to talk to Doug and I.
Yeah, man. I thank both of you guys, and I love both of you guys. I love everybody, and just live, man. Everybody, just live.
Appreciate it.
We appreciate it, Kenny. We appreciate it. All right, Doug, you want to do the closing remarks?
Yes, sir. So remember, guys, feel free to email over any suggestions, questions, comments, or thoughts by sending an email to wingspanpodcast@gmail.com. And do not forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and subscribe to our podcast on your preferred listening services. As for next time, stay classy and take care. Yay!